Hey, gang, welcome to the Call That Girl Show. I'm Lisa Hendrickson, your hostess, and this is show number 78. If you want to check out any of the past shows, you can go to callthatgirl.biz/office365. In time, I'll have a different site for that because I'm renaming the show. It's just now the Call That Girl Show. I've kind of wanted to rebrand for a while because I want to have the opportunity to talk about other things outside of office and Outlook and all my day-to-day jobs. I want to talk about business, marketing, operations, social media, new things I'm finding, and I was feeling a little restricted, so it's time to open up the door a little bit. But usually what the show is about is the tech jobs I've done, things I found interesting I want to talk about. And since my last show I did, which was a while ago now, I had a personal week off from work. And let me just tell you how hard that is to take a week off. Oh my God. I really did still bill out $1,000 worth of work, which was amazing. But I took off like 5 days to go home to Minneapolis to see some business associates, friends, family. And then on Wednesday, I flew to Chicago and had two presentations at the American Bar Association's tech show. And I'll talk about one of the software tools I was alerted to while I was there. But anyway, I'm just going to tell you how hard it is to take off a week off work. And when I took off the week, I was like just telling people, look, I'm not available till next week. It really didn't seem like I was actually kind of worried, like I'm not going to have enough work. But I came home on Saturday and unpacked and just had to get my shit together and go through all the stuff and all my emails and just, so Saturday and Sunday were catch up. And on Monday, man, the week just killed me. I ended up doing, which I'm going to talk about all of them on the show today, by the way. I ended up doing 5 reworks, which a rework to me is usually a 2 to 4 hour job. And it's usually involving Gmail and IMAP, which means people are calling me when there's a serious crisis. And I always warn them, okay, we're going to be dealing with a rework here. So this is going to take many days to fix and it's going to take a lot of time. So, just be prepared for that because it's kind of like a surgery. I have to move all this mail, redo their Outlook, sometimes install the Google App Sync, it's usually people who have like over 100,000 emails. I did 5 of those last week, which was nice because, I have to be in contact with those 5 people all the time to go do stuff and do the next step for the repair for them to work. But outside of that, I did 35 other jobs. And while I didn't book any big migrations, I did book one for April, which has 40 users, so that'll be nice. But others, those 35 jobs were just onesies, twosies, and a lot of prepaid ticket client jobs, which I love doing those because they're small and quick. So anyway, let's see. I made a huge list, you guys, of all the jobs I did, how I fixed them, all that stuff. So let's just get rolling there. And we'll head up, do some other things later. So sometimes the work I get is little weird requests. Now, when I have a new client that says, yeah, I just have like a simple issue. And I'm like, well, I don't know if it's going to be simple for you or not, because what's simple to you might be a 2-hour job for me. But the first job I took, it was a client who I'd done a migration for about a year ago, and she just had a send receive error. So I was like, well, she called me directly. I didn't really book an appointment. I remoted in quick. I couldn't see anything wrong. So I said, well, what's changed? Have you traveled? Do you have a new internet? And she was using POP. The settings were all fine. And luckily, she happened to call me on Monday morning when shit was just starting to, come down through the weekend. And I had her call AppRiver, who is my backup for my exchange clients. And turns out that they had to change a setting, which I don't know how many POP setting changes you can have, but they did it and that got it working. So I was like, all right, the POP setting change, that was good. But that's why I like using AppRiver as my backup, because when I was too busy, I'm like, well, go call them, and they're pretty helpful. Then my next client sent me an email a couple weeks before her appointment, and she was getting these brackets in her Outlook reply emails, which the brackets ended up turning out to be, I tell you, I haven't had to fix this in many years, but it was in the 2003, 2007 Outlook where you could actually, let me go look it up in my Outlook. It's mark my replies as kind of weird thing. Where did I put that? Let's see. I don't remember. Anyway, she's getting these weird brackets in her reply emails. And at first I thought they were like slashes. In fact, I don't even see this in my Outlook 2013. I think they took it away. But in 2003 and 2007, they definitely had it. And if you had that box checked, it would change your signature. But that for her, I don't even know how it got in there, but this brackets, you had to uncheck the mark my signature as or whatever, and the brackets went away. Now, I haven't had that problem in so many years. I didn't even really know how to even fix it. So I Googled, of course, and I was using the word slashes. Then I changed it to brackets, and I found an answer. And the answer was quite old, so I updated it and made a new blog for those that are having that issue. Okay, so then I had one of the reworks called. This client had 170,000 emails, something like that. And people, here's a tip, is that if you don't know how many emails you have and you see a large number in blue next to your inbox, that's your unread. So you want to go down to the bottom and see if there's a filter applied, click on it and hit clear all. Then you can actually see how many emails you actually have in your inbox. And because they were only viewing the unread, they didn't think they had a lot of mail when actually they did. And that's what one of the reworks are, is I take all that 170,000 emails off the server and get it into a local PST file to relieve the server of having to synchronize all the time. And then that client, I ended up actually putting them on Google Apps because they were paying for Google Apps and they had 2 computers. Okay, and then I got another client who was getting a script error in their Internet Explorer. Now, I try not to do tech repairs anymore, such as that, but since he was a prepaid client, I took it. And, you know, Internet Explorer 11 with these script errors, I really don't know how to fix them outside of just, you know, kind of resetting IE. So I did some research. I tried a few things. He hasn't gotten back to me, so I'm assuming it's either the website he's going to or, you know, I don't even know. But I don't do tech support, but I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes websites can cause people to get those script errors. Then I had a client who called me for OneDrive. Now, the OneDrive issue he was having is that he installed it on his Surface first generation computer, which, you know, those Surfaces from, 4 years ago, they barely could hold anything. I think mine has 32 gigs available. I mean, it really is just for surfing the web. It's really not for doing much on it. Well, it turns out he had actually turned on his OneDrive and it started downloading a ton of data, and it clogged up his whole entire computer. So what I told him is go get yourself an external hard drive and let's try to move that data off there so we can refresh your Surface and maybe install Windows 10. Okay, well, the second part of the job, I'm just going to skip to it. It turns out that the pausing was stuck and we couldn't get the data just to copy off. And it was really kind of annoying because he had paused the syncing, right? He paused the syncing and it wouldn't let us take the data no matter what. It would give us errors. It was, you couldn't copy, you couldn't cut it. And so finally we determined that his data that was on there was on the OneDrive and on his other computer. So we could have just said refresh it, but we just wanted to make sure. So he ended up doing a full computer backup to his hard drive. So then he got a copy of it. And I always tell folks, you know what, be safe, just get that extra copy, you know, if you can. And then I had another client where I just had 30 minutes of just tweaking Outlook, signature work. This happens sometimes with clients. Things just get messed up and they just have a few questions. She was a prepaid ticket client, so that was really nice. You know, 30 minutes for her only cost her 60 some bucks, and we just knocked out a whole bunch of little issues. Then I had another client who hired me for just an hour. And it turns out that the Outlook 2007 is just getting really old. And I'm telling people it's actually called geriatric. You know, if you put it in terms of a human being, it's in its like 80s, you know, it's really getting old. And the stuff he wanted to do, I just said, look, let's just upgrade you. You're going to love it. It's going to be so much faster. And so in the hour, we did a bunch of work for him, upgraded him, and he was really happy at the end. And I think he closed it by saying something really cute, like, have a good life. Like he was hoping he didn't need to see me again. But it was a nice call either way. Then I had another gal that we just did a basic email setup. But here's the thing about hers is that she had purchased Office 365 Home, right, on her computer, which a lot of people do. Okay. Problem is that the client actually purchased Office 365 Business. Now, if you're not familiar with the Office 365 Business, it's a different level of a package of, of Office 365 that you can buy. I've only had one client with it, so it's really strange. When I tried to go set up the Exchange account for her, it wouldn't let me with the Office 365 Home. And I was like, how does the software know that she's supposed to be on the Office 365 Business? So I ended up removing hers, reinstalling it, putting on the Office 365 Business, and it worked just fine. And these are the little things I'm learning with all the Office products, is how different they work and the snag ups. So just as a tip for you techs that are listening, there is one called Office 365 Business now, not Business Premium. It's a totally different level. And if you have that client with that, you have to install that specific version. Okay, then I had another client who, it was part of a rework job I took before my trip, actually. And what he wanted was 5 email accounts to go into one inbox. Now, Office 2013 and 16, when you set up an email generically through like the new account area, you get IMAP usually, if you just do it automatically. So if you have IMAP on 2013 and 16, you cannot specify that mail to be delivered to a different inbox. The only way you can do that is if you have POP set up. Then you can change the delivery inbox to be another POP or an Exchange account. So he did have an Exchange account, and he had actually 2 Exchange accounts. So what we ended up doing was redoing all the profiles to have POP, and then we had to move one of the Office 365 Exchange accounts to just forward an email. It was kind of a messy little thing we had to figure out, but he still wanted to be able to reply from that account. So anyway, this was almost a 4-hour job. There was a lot of reworking to do, a lot of things to figure out. We set up a new Exchange account for him too. And you know what? Folks these days have 4 or 5 email accounts, different businesses, different needs for it. I mean, myself, I've probably got 8. A lot of them are for testing, but you know, it can be really hard to figure out sometimes. Then I had another client who, I think it was a Windows 10 issue, and she must have did an update, and it took away her PDF default to open up in Adobe. So all I did was remote it in, reset the Adobe to be the default. The Windows one doesn't open up in the PDF version that the people like. It's pretty simple. Just go to your default apps and set Adobe or PDF to open up in Adobe. And then I had another client who called in, and she wanted to, she wrote out a big list. Now, a lot of people, I tell them to make a big list of stuff. Make a list, because then I can read it and kind of figure it out. And here's the thing, is that she needed, I think, 4 email accounts added to her Outlook, and she had problems. Well, the thing is that Gmail can cause problems because of this 2-step authentication and the other things and the app passwords and all these things. Now, it took us almost an hour to do parts of the things on her list, add these accounts, and at the very end of the call, I was like, look, you know, we have to probably schedule another hour because we didn't get to 2 of the things you wanted. And she's a really nice lady. And she was like, oh, I was really hoping we could have done these other 2 things first. And I'm like, I know, but I'm really fast. So just to let you know that, you know, typically the work we do, if you have a lot of things, is 2 hours. And she was like, I get it, because you are really fast. And just to let you guys know that I'd rather have the expectations managed out there for people by letting them know it's going to be a 2-hour job. So that night when I got done helping her, I actually changed my minimum to be, again, 2 hours. I said, you know what, I just hate the extra work of telling people we need another hour, And so now I have a 2-hour minimum and a 4-hour support ticket still. And now I have the free consult back on my thing as well. But I just, you know, I don't like rushing for an hour. And not that she rushed me, but I just was like, I don't know if I could have got all that stuff done in an hour anyway. So anyway, then I did a couple new email setups. I do those a lot. Actually, people have a new hire or whatever. And I worked with another new client on setting up email. And then I had another client who was using an old AT&T account. And this AT&T stuff, let me tell you how messy that can be. It's AT&T with Bell South, with Yahoo, with how many other companies have all bought out with each other. And it can be a lot of work trying to figure out all this stuff and to get forwarding to work and all these other issues. This guy, in the end, I got all his stuff figured out. It was another, IMAP pop versus pop issue. I said, why don't you just go to Exchange? You own a business. A domain is $12. You pay $5 a month for the exchange. We can move all your stuff over there. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So it's not like I don't try to upsell in the beginning, but sometimes an upsell at the end is just as good. And I loved working with this guy. It was so much fun. Then I had another person who actually got bombed on email. Now, if this has ever happened to you where you've gotten your name on some list and you are on everybody's shit list, you're getting constant emails. Let me just tell you that if you have a domain that you own and this happens to you, moving to a new server sometimes does fix the trick, okay? He was not on an Exchange account. He was on just a regular IMAP account. We put him on Exchange and his spam went down significantly. Then after a couple days, he was like, I want your spam filter. So AppRiver sells what's called SecureTide, which is a spam filter, which is what I use as well. And that should take care of that email bombing if you get on that list or something like that. Then I had another client who was another OneDrive. Now, the thing is about OneDrive is that it's not for everybody because they don't know how to set it up correctly or they're doing it wrong. But this client, I felt really bad for him because he happened to have 2 different OneDrives and 2 different OneNotes. And OneNote is actually saved in OneDrive. He also had an Office 365 account. He also had an Outlook.com account. And it was just, also he actually bought the Office 365 software too. So luckily he only had 2 email accounts, but we had to spend, almost a good part of an hour just figuring out where all the data for all this stuff was. And then once we created a game plan, we knew for moving ahead because his favorite OneNotes were being saved on one thing and not with another account that does other stuff. And, if you're a tech or a client, this can get really confusing really fast. So I just try to write down all the notes in my ticket for the client. So next time I help them, I know what's going on. Then I helped another client with a scan to contacts. He was using a scanning software. He just needed it mapped. Pretty simple job. I love those little easy ones. Then I had another, let's see here. I had another client that was calling from a second. See, the first job we did was in November. They were using OneDrive, all completely wrong. I taught them how to use SharePoint. SharePoint is pretty nice if you're just doing basic file sharing and stuff like that. It's way better than OneDrive, in my opinion. And you can do it online, or you can map a drive, or use the sync tools. That sync tools is my third option. But it turns out that she had already set up a whole, see, since I helped her in November, she called me back, and she had all her SharePoint libraries set up. Everything was not 100% perfect. So we just did like a quick half hour of checking permissions, doing some testing, and we got it actually to sync. Now there's the new OneDrive next generation sync tool that is so confusing to even talk about. OneDrive, it breaks a lot if it's already broken. So that new sync generation tool is not going to work on something that's already broken, as far as I know, without a registry fix. But the SharePoint sync seems to work. So I tried to do a pretty thorough interview with people now. When they call in for OneDrive issues, I ask them, have you already tried it? Is it working? Has it broken? Is this a fresh setup? I try to get all those investigative questions done. And there was a client last week that I did the interview for. It did not pass my test of me wanting to take the job. So I have a new referral person that that I send over OneDrive to. Her name is Lynn Dye. I met her on Twitter, I think. but Lynn and I become chummy because she actually understands the OneDrive a little bit differently than me. And I'm really thankful to do the interview with my clients to see if it should go to me or to Lynn. And Lynn took over another one of my jobs last week, and I was very happy, and the client was happy as well, and it was a job well done. But Lynn had her issues too. This OneDrive sync tool is just not perfect. And I wish they would just make it work, because there's so many still like Groove clients involved, SkyDrive, and other things that are snagging up and just making it real challenging still. But luckily, with the lady I helped last week, the sync tool worked perfect. And when it does work perfect, the SharePoint little icon shows up in your File Explorer window, not the OneDrive, okay? All right, then let's see. I'm not going to cover all 40 jobs now, but I did 40 total. I had another client that needed me for just a quick little where'd something go. Here's what happens with some people. This is what he was missing, was his display reminders, little things that pop up. So in 2013 and 16, if you have a new PST file and you're not getting reminders because you set up a calendar with it, when you go to, I'll talk it out here. When you right click on the PST file, okay, and you go to data file properties, there's a little box that says display reminders and tasks from this folder in the to-do bar. You have to check that button if you want reminders to pop up, okay? And a lot of people, I have to create PST calendars for them because they've got only IMAP set up. Now, if you have 2013 and you've got like 4 IMAP accounts, you have to have a PST file to keep the calendar and contacts in so it doesn't get in the cache copy of the IMAP and maybe completely lost or deleted one day. That's a preventative thing I do for my clients. And one lady was like, well, it works, but it doesn't display the reminders. So just do what I said, right click, data file properties, and check that button. It'll come back. And his did. Okay, let's see what else I got. Another client has, let me just tell you folks, on IMAP with Outlook 2013 and 16, I've gotten to the point that if you start seeing synchronizing issues, you have too much mail going on, and it's not your fault. With Gmail, it's actually from the 2 other folders, all mail and important mail. And with non-Gmail IMAP accounts, it's usually send and inbox, okay? You have to take that email off the server. And what has been even more common for me to fix that lately is I actually take the inbox email, put it to a local PST file, and then I do the sent items, and then I back it up, I make an export, and sometimes I have to re-download it fresh because it's just all snagged up and it's just too much for Outlook and the IMAP to synchronize. That's rough, yep. Now, this other client I helped was a job from the same week, but I helped her. This was her second appointment. Remember earlier I said sometimes you need 2 appointments? I actually got 2 calendar syncings to work in one Outlook. I got the G-Sync It to sync with her Google Work Calendar, and I got Outlook.com, which was going to sync her Outlook with her iPad and her iPhone. And I thought that was pretty cool. I've never really had a client need 2 syncings before. But it worked, and that was a 30-minute job getting those done. All right, and then let's see, anything else exciting? Autocomplete, I still get calls for that, folks. If you are getting a new Outlook from, or an upgrade from 2010, 13, or 16, that auto stream complete, make sure you check out my YouTube videos because they're very helpful to get the old contacts back, what's in the email when people start typing, or people call it my emails or whatever. And then on Friday, this is gonna be my final job. I couldn't even talk about all 40 of these jobs. On Friday afternoon, just when I was thinking, this week is over, I had a busy ass week, I got an emergency call. And then I got another emergency call from the same guy 30 minutes later. So at this point, I knew it was an emergency, right? If he's calling me twice. Here's what he did, and here's what I'm going to warn you guys not to do. And he didn't know, so I told him. He took all of his PST files, put them on OneDrive. So first of all, he moved the PSTs from his Outlook, which broke the connection to his Outlook profile, okay? Put them up on OneDrive, but he didn't reconnect them to Outlook. I'm going to tell you folks that I will never, ever in my life set up a PST file in Outlook to live in a OneDrive or a Dropbox or any kind of synchronizing platform. The reason is because Outlook is basically a live program running at all times with a database, which is called the PST, and OneDrive and Dropbox are also synchronizing. The potential to get a corrupted PST is high. I've already seen it happen. I've already lived through it myself. So there's no way you're ever going to get me to set one up that way. No, I just won't do it. And if a client wants to do it, that's their business, but I'm not going to do it. And then a lot of clients also say, well, I want it backed up. I go, well, then manually back it up. Close Outlook, copy the file, and put it on your Dropbox, but just don't let it live in there and never open it up on another Outlook. So if you got two Outlooks, opening it up on a OneDrive or a Dropbox, you're looking for a disaster immediately to happen. But so anyway, this guy called on Friday. Outside of that, he somehow broke the profile to an Outlook. I think what happened was he was trying to open his Outlook and the files weren't there because they were in OneDrive and they were detached. So he made a new profile and none of the stuff was there. In brand new profile, it's like it's empty. So I was trying to think about what this client did, and I was like, okay, I think I figured it out. His old profile's probably there. So I went and took the files out of the OneDrive, put them back in their little nesting spot where they should be. I went and opened up his old profile, and everything worked. And that guy was so happy. And I was so happy because that was my last job on Friday, and I was completely exhausted. But the thing is, I didn't have to take that call, but I'm glad I did because it really just kind of made my week end on a happy note. And he was happy, and people get really kind of panicky when their Outlook isn't working and things are wrong and they're missing stuff. And it wasn't that he was panicking. He just really needed to work this weekend. And you can't if things are messed up. And I totally get it. Okay, so that is the updates. I'm hoping to do more shows with less each time. I want to do shows more often because there's more I'd like to share. And so this is my first one of the new show. So let's see how it goes, you guys. But there's a few things I want to remind you that AppRiver is still a sponsor of the show here. They have a 10-seat minimum now if you are not a friend of Call That Girl. So make sure if you call and talk to Steve Harris or one of the sales reps there to tell them that you know me, Call That Girl, and they will let you in with the 1-seat minimum, which is still how I do my sales, okay? They had to change it. Business changes. They have requirements. They have the stuff they do, but I really fought for this because I said, look, you guys, I still do one exchange accounts all the time. They understood that, but they're keeping this a real private deal with us and my listeners, okay? So if you want to get in as a partner or reseller with AppRiver, contact Steve Harris, sharris@appriver.com. Just a reminder that I still have my ebooks available. I've got the 6 ebook set. The big one right now is the How to Do an Exchange Migration ebook and the SEO for WordPress. I think those are the 2 hot ones. I also have my Outlook training for technicians. It's actually Outlook troubleshooting videos for technicians out. $99, 4 hours of videos, 7 courses, very intense shit here, guys. I spent 2 years planning these videos, then to create them, make them, write them up, then edit them, publish them, make the sales pages, probably 70 to 100 hours. It was a lot of work. And then I kind of call that my final project that's that big I'm going to work on for a while. Another reminder that I am selling tech tickets now. I'm getting a lot of technicians that are finding me on the internet, which is awesome. And what they're looking for is tech help on a tech project because they know what they're doing, but they just want a little help. So I'm offering these tech tickets, 2 hours for $278. So you can use me in a pinch, you're tired of Googling, or I'm hoping if you buy a tech ticket, you don't need to Google. You just try to do your best and email me and I can help you out. And I'm also just letting you folks know that our technicians that we also, I've added this guy named Robert onto my team. He's not an employee or contractor, but he is an exchange expert for Microsoft. He's got his own business. I've known him and his wife for a few years now. They are a great tech team, and him and I are working on assisted migrations now together to help technicians like you, who's maybe a 1 or 2 person show, and you have a big migration and you want some back end help. Especially with on-premise servers, Robert is excellent. He knows all the hybrid stuff. Anything that's really outside my range, I give to him. And him and I are going to be starting to partner on the bigger migrations. He'll be doing the front, and I'll probably end up with the aftercare at the end, and maybe some of the prep in the beginning with the admin and stuff. But we're getting there, guys. We're growing. We're adding on people. Moving ahead in the new shows, I hope to have a little segment called Tire Kickers and Requests, which is supposed to be cute, but I didn't have any really last week because I was so busy. And I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get them in the future. So I want to try to keep track as to what these requests were so you can listen and see if I end up getting them or not. And I'm also going to have a segment for Microsoft and their updates. The 2 this week I heard was the biggest hype is the Microsoft Teams, which is great for many businesses that are probably bigger. My clients, still the 1 to 10, they're not really using the team thing because they have their own thing figured out. And maybe in time, I just signed up to take the webinar from Microsoft next Tuesday, so I'll report on that. I don't know if it's hype or not, but they really want this teams and groups thing to be big. And just to let you know that the software at the tech show that I checked out was called the Law Toolbox 365. It's pretty impressive. So check out their demo on the website, lawtoolbox.com. Go look for their Office 365 area. They got a demo out. And I met the owner, and she, gave me a quick demo. And I was like, wow, I've never seen a plugin or an add-on for Office like work so well inside Outlook. This thing was pretty amazing. And it's not just like a little button. It's like a, fourth of the screen that lets you do cases and set up matters and all that stuff for your cases with your clients. I gotta say I pretty much liked it, but I'm not sure I'm ready to dive into that whole area yet, but I have it on my list and we'll see. And then there's the Boohoo end of life for 2013. No more downloading it. I have a copy of the home version because I kind of need it just in case, but other techs have other versions, so thank goodness. But it's still out there. You can still use it. You just can't download it from Microsoft anymore. Now, I'm kind of wondering, what if I force them to downgrade because their 2016 still sucks? So I'm still waiting on that job where I beg and plead them to downgrade. We'll find out. And I'm also going to hopefully have a segment coming up called Wins and Loses. But my win this week was just going back to my 2-hour minimum. I had to. I just feel more comfortable knowing that if I don't have to rush a client, they have time left over. If they go over 2 hours, they'll upgrade to a 4-hour ticket. I don't really have prorating. I don't need to. And this summer, I'm hoping to change the pricing a little bit more. I was kind of told my prices are lower now than a lot of technicians. And that, I'm not saying that well, let's put it this way. When you specialize, your rates should be higher. That's what the point of consulting is, right? That's all I do. I can't do everything for the clients. So I'm looking at it like this, like I'm hearing 150 is the new rate, and I'm 138 per hour with my 2-hour minimum. So we'll see. I might be up to 350. And I think, from what people talk about is, when you change your rate, your clientele changes. I love my clientele, but I do know that I need to stop being at the rate where I get the some of the issues that I don't want to support anymore, and that might start changing the clientele, so I won't get those calls. Maybe I'll just stay like iCloud, for example. That's always such a job. It's always a job for me. Okay, folks, there's no guest or topic this week, but that's kind of how the format for the new show is going to be. Talk about jobs right away, do a little ad pitch, do my 3 little things, Microsoft, tire kickers, wins, loses, maybe a guest, maybe a topic. We'll see. I got a nice list here of stuff I want to talk about. But if you have a story you want to share with me or want to be a guest on the show, contact me at lisa@callthatgirl.biz. You can also hire me to help. You can hire Robert and myself. You could partner. And don't forget to talk to AppRiver, S. Harris at appriver.com. That's the end of the show this week, folks. I'll see you in a few days. This has been a Heyman Hendrickson production, audio supported by Mitch Heyman. Thanks, folks, and see you next week.